I think to say that we live in extraordinary times right now in the industry would be to put it mildly. I've never seen, having been doing this for some time, something as meaningful as what's currently underway. Certainly through GDPR and regulations in Europe, but that seems to be happening somewhat in parallel to other factors affecting the industry, whether it's Cambridge Analytica or the general flight to quality, the concentration around the customer or the user in a way that I don't think we've seen before. And it's forced, I think, a lot of us in the space to think differently about the relationship that not only vendors have with publishers, but publishers have with their consumers, but how we're also all implicated in this and how we're all directly contributing towards the long-term health and value of where we're going. And so I think it's easy to get lost in the minutiae and the challenges of how we interpret regulation and how those regulations are impacting us. And that may seem as though it's imposing a restriction on things, and it's maybe causing a lot of headaches and operational burden and costs. But to do that, I think, is to forego the long-term benefits. And I don't think there's ever been a better time in the industry than right now. I think what's happening is going to force change that is long overdue. And sometimes it takes a bit of a jolt for that to happen. We saw that to some degree with ads.txt, and I think the industry had a really great response to that. And it happened quickly, and I think it demonstrated our ability collectively as an industry to be able to force change and to make it happen quickly and happen in a meaningful way. And we're going through that in a similar capacity to GDPR. Very much a European regulation, obviously, but it has implications everywhere. And so we're sort of looking inwardly upon ourselves, and every conversation I have today is centering largely around GDPR, whether it's publishers in the US, whether it's publishers in Europe or APAC or beyond. I think the realization is that it's not going to be isolated to just what's happening around GDPR. I think the realization is that it is a early example of something that's probably going to permeate everywhere. And so I think we'd be foolish to assume that it's isolated. I think we're going to see in the US at the state level most likely. In Canada, where I am, there's a lot of discussions around it. And so again, we need to avoid getting caught up in the challenges that it imposes early on. And we need to think about the value that it creates long term. Certainly for major publishers out there who have maybe relinquished to some extent the importance and the value of the relationship that they've had. We think about the importance of identity in this context, because the conversations that's happening around identity, I think, are closely aligned to the conversations we're having around consent. The two are inextricably tied. And so it's bringing together a lot of important conversations that probably wouldn't have happened as soon as they are happening now. And the net result of this, I think, is going to be a healthier ecosystem. It's going to be a healthier relationship with the publisher and the users, publishers and the vendors that the publishers use. And that is a positive. We're going to have to, scrape our knees a little bit along the way, and we're going to incur some challenges. I suspect there will be some consolidation, some redistribution of wealth in the marketplace, call it. But I think those who are and have consistently invested in quality content from a publisher standpoint, those who have invested in the relationship they have with their consumers and their users, and those who have ensured that they kind of maintain the quality of the supply that they provide in the marketplace and addressed fraud concerns. I think those are the participants and the stakeholders that are going to actually benefit from everything that we're doing, and rightfully so. So short-term pain for everyone, I think, at the moment, but the long-term prospects, I think, have never looked better for the industry as a whole, and that's what is, I think, particularly encouraging, despite what feels like, challenging circumstances at the moment.